Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring the Fading Suns Universe book. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review featuring this setting book for this awesome space opera passion play, please check out the playlist in the description below. This time we are going to talk about the major sects and orders of the church, starting with Brother Battle. Fanatically dedicated to defending the Prophet's faith with might and force of arms, Brother Battle is an elite monastic order equally feared and respected for its military prowess. The order arose in the early days of the New Dark Ages, when its sworn members acted as bodyguards to the Patriarch and other important clergy within the Universal Church of the Celestial Sun. Since those days, the order has grown in both power and influence, becoming not only the unfailing bulwark of the Church, but also a vital part of the military defenses of all the known worlds. Wherever the Church and its faithful can be found, there too will be found Brother Battle to protect them. The brothers take strict vows of obedience to the order and to their superiors. These vows allow them to maintain a level of discipline that is second to none. Indeed, they consider oath-breaking to be the greatest of all sins. Any brother who breaks the vow is given a harsh penitential quest to expiate it. Many brothers do not survive such trials. Entering Brother Battle is difficult, as the order rarely accepts adult apprentices. Instead, the order usually only takes in children under the age of 10 years old, including many orphans, who make up a significant number of the order's members. The reasoning behind this practice is that it takes at least a decade of intense physical conditioning and spiritual training to produce a brother worthy of the name. Furthermore, children raised within the order are much more receptive to its teachings than adults who have known life outside the walls of the Grand Monastery on Demolay. Because of its military might, Brother Battle exercises a great deal of influence in the known worlds, especially in the years since the rise of the symbiote threat. Along with the Escatonic Order, Brother Battle has proved vital in holding the line against this insidious alien menace. In addition, the Order has long served as guardians of pilgrimage routes, making the brothers popular with the ordinary faithful. Some within the Orthodoxy fear the Order's growing power and wealth, seeing it as a potential rival within the Church. Despite its name, the Order's membership is open to women, although men are by far the majority. By tradition, most Brother Battle monasteries prefer to take only male children. They usually accept females when they need to supplement their ranks due to battle losses. Some of the leading members of the order include Master Aeon of Earth. Entered Brother Battle unwillingly, having been presented to the order by his Hazad family while still a boy. After his initial difficulties, Aeon thrived by using his natural charisma and his ability to persuade others. In time, his superiors recognized these talents as assets. He has since risen to become Brother Battle's representative to Holy Terra, where he advances the Order's interests and manages its burgeoning banking empire, protecting the assets of pilgrims in return for a tithe of interest. There is also Master Halatine Quan Shah. She was an apprentice at the time House de Kados removed its legions from Stigmata to attack the Al-Malik. In the epic series of symbiote assaults that followed, Halatine learned full well the dangers posed by the shapeshifters. In the years since, she devoted herself and her body to the extermination of this alien threat through the use of cybernetics. In general terms, a Brother Battle priest might be a crusader, elite commando, martial monk, penitent warrior, sainted soldier, or smiter of heathens. Then we have the Escatonic Order. Mystical and occult in their orientation, the Escatonic Order priests were initially distrusted and considered heretical by the Orthodoxy. It was only because of their potent command of theurgy against the rising threat of the symbiotes that the Church accepted the Escatonics into the fold, and even now, there are those who question the wisdom of doing so. As its name suggests, the Escatonic Order is deeply connected with the Eschaton, the end of the universe. Escatonic priests have a reputation for being pessimistic doomsayers, assured that the end of all things is nigh, and that nothing can be done to prevent it. However, this reputation is somewhat unfair, as Escatonics also believe that it is possible, through intense study and discipline, to discover the hidden sparks of the holy flame and escape the final darkness. To that end, Escatonics are dedicated, both as an order and as individuals, to the discovery of the sacred wisdom hidden by the Pan-Creator throughout creation. This sacred wisdom enables one to become aware of the holy flame that burns within one's soul, so that it might be stoked into the great fire needed for the luminous return. Such knowledge might be found almost anywhere, which is why many Escatonics adopt peripatetic lifestyles and travel throughout the known worlds and beyond. Theurgy is particularly important to the Escatonic Order. Escatonics believe that the study and mastery of Theurgy is not only a useful tool in overcoming external obstacles, but also a means of mastering oneself and thereby increasing the intensity of one's inner flame. In searching the hidden places for sacred wisdom, some Escatonics have also become knowledgeable about bodiless powers that exist in the universe, demons and angels alike. Such knowledge has only contributed to their fearful reputation among the peasantry. For their part, the Escatonics are largely undeterred by such views. They remain convinced in their duty to unearth sacred wisdom wherever it may be found, and whatever the potential risks in finding it. In the present age, the Escatonic Order is growing in importance. The fading suns phenomenon has long fascinated Escatonic sages, who view it as yet another obstacle standing in the way of the final victory of the holy flame. Some of the leading members of this order include Philosophus Antonia de Caditz. She is well regarded for her talent as a theurgist. Some whisper that her command of theurgy has led her down dark paths in the search for ever greater knowledge, paths that could endanger her very soul and those with whom she interacts. Then we have Magus Moore. This is the head of the Escatonic Order, having succeeded to the position after the disappearance of his predecessor during the Emperor Wars. Since then, he has devoted much of his energies to making the teachings of his order more intelligible and less frightening to the Orthodoxy, which has long suspected the Escatonics of heresy. In general terms, an Escatonic might be a demon-hunting Templar, a cautious investigator for the Inquisition, a thoughtful scholar, a Sanhedrin spy, or wizardly theurgist. Then we have Sanctuary Aeon. Sanctuary Aeon is dedicated to the healing both physical and spiritual. This is an extraordinarily difficult vocation during the New Dark Ages. As such, comparatively few people take it up, especially when compared to the other sects of the Church. Despite this, or perhaps because of it, the priests of Sanctuary Aeon are well regarded by the common faithful, who see in them the earthly manifestation of the Pan-Creator's grace and mercy. Sanctuary Aeon was established by Saint Amalthea, a physician who became one of the prophet's disciples. Indeed, Amalthea is famous for having healed the prophet of his dark vision, a spiritual nihilism he suffered after ending the demonic possession of a peasant on a frontier world. This event is recounted in the Omega Gospels, and has no doubt played a large part in the high esteem the faithful hold Saint Amalthea, for she rendered a service to the prophet no one else could, and thereby enabled him to continue his ministry across the stars. Initially, the sect was a religion separate from the Universal Church of the Celestial Sun, called the Temple of Eternal Sanctuary. This religion, established by Amalthea herself and later headed by her own daughter, emphasized mercy and compassion above all and proved popular on many worlds during the chaos of the wars that engulfed the known worlds. In time, though, the temple was incorporated into the church as a recognized sect under its authority, albeit one with its own internal structure and unique perspective on the teachings of the prophet. Saint Amalthea established her Temple of Eternal Sanctuary on the world of Artemis, and that planet remains the location of the sect's chief monastery, even after its entry into the church. As their members are small compared to other sects of the church, priests of Sanctuary Aeon depend heavily on the assistance of others. One way they acquire such assistance is by requesting that those whom they heal return the favor by seeking out others also in need of healing and compassion. Often, this is done in the form of a specific penitential task, but Amaltheans have learned to be flexible in their assignment of penances. Some of the leading members include Cardinal Oma of Abshai. This is a prominent example of an Amalthean engaged in activities other than healing. Born to a noble family in Li Halan space, Oma demonstrated keen aptitude for diplomacy and was elevated to the position of Imperial Ambassador to Davao, a huge boon for the Amaltheans. There is also Archbishop Sahia of Artemis, who is the leader of Sanctuary Aeon, for which she is known by the title of Ketchark. In combination, this makes Sahia an extremely potent force within the church. She personally attended the birth of the Emperor's daughter, Aurora, and she is said to have been deeply changed by the event. In general terms, a Sanctuary Aeon priest might be a patient dream tender, an iconoclastic mendicant, a village friar, or a war medic Templar. Then we have the Temple Avesti. Known as the most rigid and hardline members of the Universal Church, the priests of Temple Avesti are frequently too strident, even for the tastes of the Orthodoxy. Nevertheless, Avestites play a vital role within the Church as watchdogs against laxity and indifferentism. Temple Avesti began as a puritanical movement within the Orthodoxy, made up of zealous believers who felt that the Church was insufficiently stern in punishing the excesses of its own members. Of course, it is worth noting that Avestites take literally the Church's title of universality. To them, every sentient being is a member of the Church, regardless of whether they explicitly profess themselves to be so. This crusade was deemed little more than religious terrorism by the nobility and merchants, who were their primary targets. Initially, the Orthodoxy took little notice of the Avestites, preferring to ignore them and hoping that they would wise up and cease their operations before they went too far. However, when the nobility decided to launch an assault on Pyre to destroy Temple Avesti, the Patriarch intervened, dispatching an envoy to issue an ultimatum: submit to the authority of the Patriarch or be destroyed by the nobility. The master of the temple agreed to the Patriarch's terms, and the Avestites entered the church as an order within it. In the centuries since, the Avestites have placed themselves under the command of the Orthodoxy, offering themselves as penitents willingly to undertake holy tasks too difficult or too unsavory for others. When called upon, Avestites act with fervor and determination. They have a very good track record for success, provided one can look the other way when it comes to their methods. Temple Avesti is very selective in its membership. Only those who can prove that they are sinless or extremely penitent are admitted. Among the sins that can bar one from entry is education. The Avestites believe that education is a burden on the soul, one that can prevent it from properly reflecting the Pancreator's light. As one might expect, Avestites have a reputation for narrow-mindedness, especially when it comes to aliens, whom they instinctively suspect of heresy and sin. However, Avestites can also demonstrate kindness and even nobility to those they deem deserving of it. Some of the leading members of this order include Buchanan of Shaprut, called the Loose Cannon of Shaprut. He is the overlord of a cathedral on that Al-Malik world. He gained his sobriquet after he ordered the massacre of refugees from Stigmata, among whose number he claimed were many symbiote agents. He is rumored to have commissioned the building of a network of tunnels and bunkers under the cathedral, fearing a siege. There is also Bishop Gondo Ortiz de Aragon, who has always had a knack for sniffing out secrets, a talent he put to good use when he joined the Avestites. Temple Avesti saw to it that he was given a seat on the Inquisitorial Synod, whose head he would eventually become. In general terms, an Avestite might be a border guard Templar, a fanatic friar preacher, a heretic hunting spy, or a mendicant missionary. Then we have Earth Orthodox, also known as the Orthodoxy. This is the largest and most politically powerful sect within the Universal Church of the Celestial Sun. It forms the backbone of the Church's hierarchy, and as such, it is the sect most concerned with maintaining stability and combating heresy. Most of the Church's high-ranking clergy, including the Patriarch, are Earth Orthodox. The Orthodox believe strongly in following the teachings of the Prophet as elucidated in the official doctrines and dogmas of the Church. This includes not just the Omega Gospels and the Nomocanon, but also the many edicts, bulls, and decrees issued by the patriarchs down through the centuries. While to outsiders this might seem like nothing more than unthinking conservatism, the Orthodoxy would argue that it is in fact common sense. The prophet is no longer alive, but the Pan-Creator continues to desire that sentient beings reflect his light. What better way to do that than to stick to the tried and true methods established by the Church based on its centuries-long understanding of his teachings. Given its preeminent position, both among the sects and orders of the Church and among the various factions of the known worlds, the Orthodoxy has a unique role in looking after the needs of its common people. The peasantry look to the Orthodoxy for spiritual succor and comfort, which it gladly provides, just as the Prophet commanded. Membership in the Orthodoxy is not in any way restricted. Anyone, including aliens, who believes in the Prophet's teachings and wishes to serve, may do so. Some of the members of the order include Patriarch Marcus Aurelius Palamon of Holy Terra, formerly the Archbishop of Byzantium Secundus. He was recently and narrowly elected to the highest post of the Church, succeeding the aged Hezekiah the Elder. Though a traditionalist, he is also a pragmatist who realizes that the Church must be flexible in dealing with changing times. He was initially against the marriage of Alexius to Freya, but the birth of Aurora has warmed his opinion of the barbarian empress. Then we have Bishop Liana vo Dret. She is the great Chartopilax, or keeper of the Holy Archives, the vast stores of the Church's arcane lore. Her appointment was controversial, as she favors making the archives more accessible to outsiders. She is an Oven from Velisamil, and a follower of the Voven Logi branch of the faith. Her long study of the archives has unearthed forgotten fragments of Saint Ven Logi's teachings and time with the Prophet, records that are not welcomed in all of the quarters of the Orthodoxy. In general terms, an Orthodox priest might be a strict confessor, a community leader friar, an exorcist occultist, or synacular spy. And apart from these aforementioned orders, there are many sects, such as the Chorali. Musically talented members of other church sects dedicate themselves to the chorali to venerate the Pan-Creator through song. Indeed, exceptional chorali are said to be able to work miracles with their voices alone. There are also the incarnates, branded heretics by the Universal Church. Members of this sect believe that all sentient beings possess the ability to commune directly with the Pan-Creator without the need for priests or religious hierarchies. There are also the pagans. Though the Church claims universal jurisdiction over the sentient souls of the known world, its reach exceeds its grasp. On many worlds exist beings who do not adhere to the Prophet's faith or bend their knees to the Orthodoxy. The Church dubs such benighted souls pagans, though there are many different types of such believers. And there are also the Yarti. Taking its name from the source of life, the Universal Mother, Yarti is an earthly religion practiced by peasants on several worlds and among the barbarian Boldrak. Some members of the faith are renowned and feared for their command of unique forms of theurgy. A Yartin character might be an experienced explorer, a canny shaman, or a noble who is a secret devotee. And these are just a few examples. There are many other sects. This concludes this part of the review. As you can see, the background and the history of each of these different orders and sects is quite extensive. I just gave you a sample, a few fragments of each of the different histories, backgrounds, and the goals and objectives of the different orders and sects. Their political angles, their dogmas and doctrines can get quite complex. Thank you for watching this part of the review. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that have been supporting the channel by sending drive-thru RPG gift certificates. If anyone else wants to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.